How's it going, guys? Happy Monday. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend. Obviously, I would have liked to make this video last night, but I was in Daytona, so it was a great experience. If you guys want to know how it went, it was good. It was my fourth. I'm trying to think how many Daytona 500s I've been to. I went to 2010, 2015, and 2019, and 2022. So fourth Daytona 500. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss any. 2015 is the odd one because I only went because it was Gordon's final one. It was a good experience. Was able to kind of relax all day. Didn't really have to do much. Just walked around, got in and out without traffic. It was a fun time. And I know this has been talked about a lot in terms of like on Twitter or whatever NASCAR wants to say. But I've been to Daytona many times, summer and for the 500. And a lot of people there have been, obviously more than I have. I've never seen Daytona that packed. Never. Not that was, we're talking about the 2000s level packed. That's how packed it was. Capacity was 100,000. There were 100,000 there. It was closer with everyone in the infield, everyone outside the track. It was closer to 140. I don't know if they have an official number on it, but I can tell you right now, it was a ludicrous attendance rate. From the merchandise haulers outside the track to the infield when the concert was going on. I didn't even bother going onto the grid. I've been onto the grid many times. I said, nope, I'm not going to have any of that because there were so many people there that was going to become more of a hassle than, actually being able to do or enjoy anything. So I just kind of went to a little spot, chilled, watched the race. I usually watch the races where the haulers line up. I'm at the end of the haulers and we're able to stand on a little thing, and that's where I watch the race. So I had a perfect view of two wrecks. I think it was well now let's talk about the race. There was a few wrecks, a few weird incidents. Obviously I didn't have the TV broadcast, so I was just watching via what I was seeing from my eyes, and I will tell you guys right now, it doesn't look or sound any different. I mean, the plate package ran well. I did notice they were going 3 wide less. I want to see how this car and package run at Dega, because I don't know. It's just something that I noticed. It was mainly 2 wide, and the reason why is because you really did not want to get yourself into the middle getting pushed, because getting pushed was a lot more sensitive in terms of the rear bumper's now a little bit rounded with this car. And so it doesn't look different, but I know while driving it, it probably feels different. And so Brad Keselowski had, let's face it, he had a pretty bad race. He wrecked 2 cars. He wrecked Harrison Burton, and he wrecked Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And I saw the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. one. It happened right in front of me, so I was able to see it. And it's nothing that Keselowski did wrong. It's just that these cars are just they just seem to be very sensitive, especially coming off the corner if you are on them. And I think because they don't look like they're racing different, that maybe Keselowski thought he could kind of push as hard as he pushed like the Gen 6 car, but he was really on Stenhouse and Harrison Burton, especially off of 2 and off of 4. And when you transition from that banking and you go onto the straight, if you are, on them like that, you run the risk. It's not like he hit them coming off the corner. He was already on them, but that when the car has to get off the banking and the elevation change, it can unsettle it. And that's what happened both times. And it ended up in big wrecks and wrecked race cars. There was loose wheels. I saw on the Fox broadcast that they actually didn't have the initial angle of the flip, and it was the same on the big screen at Daytona. I just saw the bumper can of Denny Hamlin, and then after the fact is when we all saw Harrison Burton actually flip. So yeah, Fox's. I went back and I watched some clips. Fox's broadcast was really poor. To me, I don't think the combination of Mike Joy, Clint Boyer, and Tony Stewart worked. They just sounded very. They Tony Stewart was very calm, but the finish of the race, it just sounded very melatonin. It was very calm. I really want to see Larry Mack in there, and let Clint Boyer be enthusiastic, upbeat, and while Mike Joy does his commentary. I think Fox still has a long way to go in terms of the broadcast. Again, I didn't watch the whole race in the broadcast, but I watched clips, and it doesn't sound, feel right, and then the production quality just the camera shots, a lot of them just aren't good. I don't know what's going on with Fox. This is the biggest race of the year, so it's not going to be like, oh, they might get better. No, it usually gets worse from here. Because if you're not on your game for the 500, which is your biggest race of the year, you're not going to be on your game for any of the other races, especially when, as the season gets to the midpoint, it kind of becomes more irrelevant. So it's like, yeah, it was a very disappointing outing from Fox. I'm kind of just tired of them at this point, and I really just want, the rumor is ESPN's coming back, and I'm very excited for that. But back to the race, it was a solid Daytona 500. I don't think anything super crazy happened. The biggest thing was probably the wheels. So I don't have a lot of information on it because we were just, again, we don't have that TV information, but a caution would come out and there would just be like a wheel on track and then like another loose wheel, and then like that stuff kind of seemed odd. And it's probably, again, for the first 10 weeks of the season, like I said during the Clash, I think the first 10 weeks of the season we're gonna see some really weird things happen that we've never seen before. Just some quirks and things with this car that we don't know. The team's still learning on it. So I thought the Hendrick cars were really disappointing. I know William Byron got taken out in the Harrison Burton wreck, along with, you know, Denny Hamlin and Truex and those guys. But the Hendrick cars just were very, like, Chase Elliott was nowhere the whole race. Larson's not usually the best of this discipline. And again, he got taken out towards the end. Alex Bowman was taken out in the Harrison Burton wreck, and William Byron was taken out in the wreck. So maybe I'm being too harsh on them, but it just looked like from the get-go, the Fords were the strongest, and that the Toyotas, if they had Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace with the Gibbs guys, if they had the numbers to get them together, that they could actually, you know, go with the Fords. But it always looked like a Ford was going to win this race. I was telling my friends before the race, I don't have a race winner, but I'm going to pick a Ford because I just think the Fords would do really well. Again, I touched on him earlier. Brad Keselowski had a tough race. You know, he doesn't mean to wreck people, and you got to be aggressive to win these things, but it was a tough race for him. And towards the end, the action really started picking up. So from my vantage point, the last, like, with between 50 and 30 laps to go, I was pretty nervous because I was watching these cars, especially coming out of the corners, and I don't know how it came across on TV, but in person, you could really see how uncomfortable they looked, especially when the intensity picked up. I think in Gen 6, you could push and tandem better, but one thing I was noticing is that when the drivers would tandem, especially down the back straightaway, and they try to, like, just get that one solid push, it wouldn't really actually work unless that lead driver would then ditch the guy behind them, which they usually don't do. They always kind of try to stay in line. What seemed to work more often, and this is what the Fords were doing, was a gentle push, but staying as close together as possible between 3 to 4 cars to generate that airflow and to keep the momentum going. When 2 cars hooked up, and yeah, they would get that sudden burst of speed for like 5 seconds, and maybe they'd be able to get clear. But there was one instance when Kyle Busch did it to Bubba Wallace. I think it was somewhere around 30 to go. And Bubba Wallace, the entire back straightaway, looked like he was going to wreck. And they got to the lead, and Busch and Bubba got there. But that was the first time I saw it work. And to make it work, Bubba was out of control. So I think the style of plate racing, for me, is better because it takes away some of the aggressiveness that I think you don't need to do in order to get you up to the front. I don't think you need to tandem. I've never been a massive fan of the tandem drafting. I'm more into that pack racing, picking a line, manipulating the air. That's kind of what I like, and it seems like with this car, that is where it's going to go. But if you want to tandem draft, if you want to take that risk, you can do it. But towards the end of these races, when the intensity picks up, these cars are very, very sensitive, especially going down the straights. And we saw it a little bit with Kevin Harvick. That's the one wreck I haven't mentioned yet, where Larson hit Harvick. And I think in Gen 6, if Larson does that, I don't think anything happens to Harvick. But again, these cars, they just are not as, in the plate racing, you can't get away with some of the things that you got away with Gen 6. I think this race was a big learning experience for everyone in the field, because Larson hits Harvick, and the second that bump happened, Harvick was done. Like, there's no saving the car. Like, it's it. And we've heard that rumor, especially with the car at oval tracks, like mile and a halfs, where if you start to lose it, like, you're losing it. It's not easy to save. Gen 6 was notoriously an easy car to save. This car does not look like an easy car to save. It looks like a very, very, very tough car when the air or someone gets you going. It looks tough, but it does also look like you can make contact. I saw multiple times throughout the race there was a Larson incident where there was contact. You saw some smoke, but there was no tire rub, no cut tire. At the end of the race when Blaney and Cindric made contact, no tire rub, no cut tire. A few other cars made contact. Again, no tire rub, no cut tire. So that makes me really happy. And I think I personally am very excited for this race car. I think it's going to perform well. Now I'm going to pull up the race results so you guys can see, because we're going to talk about basically the top 5 here. Austin Cindric. I did not see him really the majority of the race. I was seeing Buescher, Keselowski, Logano up there. Cindric kind of like just, I don't know. To me, he's not like a superstar, and he's kind of like, he's good, but he's not great. So I was just kind of like, he was around. And towards the end of the race, he got to the lead. And my pick was Blaney. I thought Blaney was going to win. I liked him in the position he was in. But he did exactly what he needed to do. Blaney was definitely not happy about it. But, coming off turn 4, I don't think what Cindric did was dirty. I understand why Blaney's mad. But I think if Cindric doesn't make the move to block, and block as aggressively as he did, to the point of essentially fencing Blaney, I think Blaney wins. So you ask yourself the question of, do I let my teammate get to my quarter panel, don't make contact, let him side draft me, we'll go side by side to the line, and the likely outcome is probably Blaney wins? Or do you try to block? And to give credit to Cindric, you can see on the replay, he didn't completely put Blaney in the wall. Like, he tried to give him as little room as possible. And yes, he made it, like, if you want to like really get into the nitty gritty, maybe he put him in the wall, but it was nothing atrocious. It was a pretty clean block. I know like Blaney got there, but towards the end of these races, if you let someone get to your quarter panel, you're basically admitting defeat. And especially where Blaney would have been, I think it would have been defeat for Cindric. We're talking about the Daytona 500. I think he ran the last 2 laps beautifully. I think he did a great job. And Blaney also did a great job for the team to make sure that Cindric got, it was between him and Cindric. Maybe Blaney's best chance was to tandem draft with him, try to get around him as much as possible early on, but because that was his teammate, he was not going to do that. And then we got to talk about Bubba Wallace. Comes in second. He has finished in the last 3 plate races, second, first, and second. And then I think he also finished second in one of like his rookie year in the Daytona 500, second or third. So it's not like this isn't a fluke now. Bubba Wallace is a pretty good plate driver. He is usually, along with Denny Hamlin, one of the standout Toyota plate drivers. I always say that because like Kyle Busch and Truex and Bell, they don't usually stand out at plate tracks, but Bubba Wallace, and especially I think who's the best in the field, which is Denny Hamlin, they stand out at the plate tracks. He came close. He was kind of boxed in. He was running third on the inside that whole time. Never really had a shot to make anything happen. And like that's what I've been saying with this car. It doesn't seem like the runs are as big. So if you are 5th, 6th, 7th, you really can't, like there was no way to get through the field. It seemed like that the whole race. It was 2 wide, never 3 wide. The top never really came in. And if it did, like then the bottom went away and it became a train. So it was, the runs were not as big. And that made the front guys be able to control the race. Chase Briscoe tried there at the end, and he tried essentially to get Keselowski up there as much as he could, but couldn't do it because Keselowski was the lead car on the outside, but they couldn't get the run onto Cindric. And then everyone else, Eric Almirola, I didn't see him the entire race, honestly. He did well. He finished in 5th. Kyle Busch, he had damage the majority of the race, but towards the end, it surprises me that he doesn't win plate races, because I think he's pretty good. But for some reason, that 18 car throughout his career, they just don't. They're not there at the end. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure. He gets wrecked a lot in these races for things that I don't think are his fault. But it's just something that's odd. I think Kyle Busch is a better plate racer than his statistics tend to say. Shout out to David Reagan in the 15. Rick Ware Racing got a top 10. Hopefully they like that, you know, because in my career mode in NASCAR 21, they don't like it. Brad Keselowski comes home in 9th, and then Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's my most disappointing driver of the day. Did nothing. I don't even think Chase Elliott cracked the top 10. I know he finished 10th, but the majority of the race, I don't think I saw him in the top 10. He was that car team. Alan Gustafson did nothing for strategy, like nothing. You expect Chase Elliott, guys like Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. You expect these guys to be at the front. I saw Logano up there. Keselowski was up there the whole time. Denny Hamlin was up there but got taken out early. Chase Elliott was there the whole race. No damage. Didn't do anything. I don't know what happened. Overall, guys, I thought it was like a solid, really good Daytona 500. Not like anything like spectacular, but it was a very good Daytona 500. I think you would hear more about it in the mainstream if Bubba Wallace was able to pull it off. I would have seen it everywhere. It would have been on CNN. It would have been on ESPN, ABC, Nightly News. It would have been everywhere. No offense. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to Austin Cindric. I'm pretty sure like there's a lot of Cindric fans, but he's just not very popular. He's still new to the series, first year in the 2 car. So you're not going to hear about it a lot. Like ESPN ain't going to be talking about it. ESPN's going to talk about Bubba Wallace finishing 2nd. And I think they did this. I think SportsCenter's first tweet was Bubba Wallace finished 2nd in the Daytona 500. And they didn't mention Austin Cindric. So it's like, it's the nature of how it is. I think for NASCAR as a whole, in terms of like marketing and like getting it out there, obviously, yeah, if Bubba Wallace wins the Daytona 500, it's massive. I'm not saying that should have happened just for that. Again, congratulations to Austin Cindric. I'm just saying the fact of the matter is, like, this Daytona 500 isn't going to be, like, super memorable. It's going to be a good race. It was a very good race, but it's not going to be super memorable because, kind of like last year, Michael McDowell wins the Daytona 500. Again, not many, the majority of people don't really care. Austin Cindric wins the Daytona 500. Again, the majority of people, you know, it's a good story, but the majority, you know, it's not going to generate stuff. Not like a Bubba Wallace or Chase Elliott. This is for a topic for another day. Trying to create superstars. You want to create superstars in the sport. Cindric will not be a superstar. So, you know, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just the nature of how it is. See you guys later. I've talked for way too much. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the 500, how it looked like on TV. Skywalker makes the late appearance. He's smelling the hat. That's your bed, bud. That's your bed. Here, we give you pick your spot. There you go. Oh, what a king. So that'll be it for me. Subscribe if you're new. Comment down below. Say hello to Skywalker, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay? Yeah. See you later. Peace out.